This is what I do sometimes when it's hot and I'm bored. Mint choc chip gelato, delicious. But I'm gonna have to move because there's a big dog shit over there and that's all I can smell. There's probably a more of a technical name for it, but I call it compulsive shopping. And compulsive shopping is when you don't need anything, but you go to the shops and buy a bunch of stuff that you don't really need with money that you don't have. Maybe you have the money and maybe you're just a bit bored, but mostly it's just shopping to fill a gap, or it's a compulsion or something like that. And it's different to browsing a weekend market. And I tend to do it more than I should. And so I'm just going to show you what I've bought this weekend, because I've just had another one of those weekends where I really should have been doing a million other things, but just stuck in, and this is the third weekend in a row when I've been like this, stuck in that mindset where I really need to just be doing some Ubering to get some money coming in, and instead of going away and blowing like $200 on a return tank of fuel and doing something fun, which is what I want to do, I've just been driving pretty much all day, every day, trying to get the dollars coming in, so that I can keep my bills paid and stuff like that. And then in the afternoon when I get tired, I have just ended up going to the shops. And a couple of the things I actually quite need, but I've just kind of gone out of my way to get them because I've been messed around by people in the shops. But before I get onto that, I just want to say hello to a couple of subscribers, which is pretty funny. I've kind of wanted my YouTube channel to, even though it's public and pretty much anybody can see my videos, I kind of really didn't want people that I know, like friends and family, to watch them. I feel a little bit funny about that. I know one of my friends, Jenny, she's been subscribed for a while, and that's fine. She's very non-judgmental and cool and stuff like that. And a couple of friends in the UK, and they're also pretty cool. But I found out last night that my brother has been watching my videos from the very first car one that I made, where I was doing the home tour, sitting in the driver's seat with beers hidden under a hoodie on the passenger seat. And so for the past however long, 6 or 7 months, no, like 3 or 4 months since I've been making them, like he's been watching them, so he knows what I've been up to, and I had no idea he knew what I was up to, which is weird, but he was also cool. And then his mate, and kind of my mate as well, up in Queensland, Wesley. Hello, Weslo. If you happen to watch this video, because I know you just subscribed the other day, feel free to judge the fuck out of me. And this is what madness looks like. And as much as I want to say that I'm not homeless, apparently, technically, if you're living in your car, you are homeless. So there you go. So I bought 3 things, and they're really cool. But you know, I should be saving my money instead of spending money. But you know, that's not what I do. So why break the habit of a lifetime? So in no particular order, here's the first thing. It's a ferro rod. And if you don't know what a ferro rod, this is it creates a spark. You basically rub that piece against the ferro shaft, and it creates a spark, and you can use it in any weather condition. So if it gets wet, it'll still make a spark. And I think that was like $10 from the outdoor store. And the reason I bought that is because on my last camping trip, I got halfway to my destination and realized that I'd left my lighter in the car, and you can't light your stove and heat your water and then cook your food if you don't have a lighter. So I decided to get one of those, and I'm going to attach it to my backpack, and then I'll always have a way of making fire. And that little bad boy hooks up onto there somewhere. Oh, that was really messy, but you get the idea. And then the next one, actually, this isn't a particular order. This is in an order of how much of a ball ache it was to get hold of these things. So the ferro rod was super easy. I just walked into the outdoor store, there it was hanging on a shelf, grabbed it, and boom. But this is just a little camping thermometer, and it's got like a little key ring on it, and you can attach it to your backpack or whatever, and it's super simple, and it was like $6, but you have no idea how difficult this was to get hold of. Oh my god. Like, so I none of the outdoor stores that I went to had them. None. Anaconda, BCF, none of the outdoor stores in town had them at all. So I ended up having to buy one online, and I ordered it maybe 4 weeks ago. And then I think it was coming from the UK, and then I got an email saying, dear customer, we're sorry, but the delivery truck was involved in an accident. Please let us know if your product arrived damaged or not. And it hadn't arrived, so I told them, and they refunded me. So then I had to look online again and try to find a physical store that sold them, and it was only in the CBD. So then I had to go through the harrowing process of trying to find a park in the city on a Saturday afternoon, and then go to a super hectic store, which is really not what I wanted to do, just to buy a $5 thermometer. And I really want a thermometer because it's first day of winter today, and it, you know, if you're doing winter camping, it's really handy to know what the temperature is doing, because I can't always rely on my phone. And actually this kind of proved the point this morning, because when I woke up this morning, my car was absolutely full of condensation. So it got pretty cold overnight, and my alarm went off at 5 o'clock, because 5 o'clock's my new norm these days. And my phone said that where I currently was, it was 3 degrees outside. But then I looked at this, and this said it was 10 degrees inside the car, which is really handy to know. Because if I've got my windows up and that causes 5, 6 or 7 degree difference, then it's easier for me to manage how I'm going to keep myself warm overnight if it's forecast to be 0 or below. And quite often in Victoria, over winter, it's going to get down to 0 or below, even in suburbia, which is where I am. So this thing's really handy for managing that. And also, it says it's 28 degrees at the moment. My phone says it's 11 degrees outside, and if I didn't have this, then how would you know what temperature it was where I am? You wouldn't, would you? And then last but not least, I'm pretty excited about this one, and this is going to get a few really good tests over the next week or so. And I've kept it in my special hiding place just behind the seat. I went and bought myself a bivvy bag. So what a bivvy bag does is it's basically like a waterproof sleeping bag shell for your sleeping bag. And the reason you would use one is if you didn't have a tent and you were sleeping outdoors under a tarp or something like that. It just keeps the condensation and the dew and like any rain that comes in sideways under the tarp off you. And I also believe it helps, because it's made of polyester. I believe it helps keep heat inside the sleeping bag. One review said that it makes the sleeping bag super hot. Obviously because it's not breathable, it's not Gore-Tex, so it doesn't let any warmth out. But I really need to do a few tests, and what I want to do is I want to use it in about a week or so. We've got a bit of snow forecast here in Victoria, and I want to try a camp outside under a tarp with no tent, just to see how it goes before it gets into proper winter. I can kind of gauge whether or not it's going to work, and I'm going to be too cold if it gets colder or not. And it weighs considerably less than my tent, even though my tent's relatively lightweight for a hiking tent. I think this weighs 340 grams, and my tent with the poles and everything, it's maybe 1.5 kilos, maybe 2 kilos, I think. I'm not too sure, but without the tent and the poles and just a bivvy bag, my sleeping bag, and my 2 sleeping mats, I think it should make my backpack considerably lighter. My backpack on its own weighs too much. It's a camera backpack, and it's made quite robust. It's not a hiking backpack. So I think that's it, really. That's compulsive shopping done for the weekend. I really don't know what I would be like if I had $1 million in the bank. What my compulsive shopping would be like. I'd probably be out buying quad bikes and, I don't know, like rally cars and helicopters and stupid stuff like that. I really don't know. But I don't think I'm too bad. You know, I don't go and wander around the shops all day long, spending money on absolutely stupid shit. Most of the stuff that I splurge my money on is quite practical, and you know, I'm going to get use out of it one day. And there was a solid lesson in there for me buying that bivvy bag. It was an absolute ball ache to get hold of. I bought it from a store called Mountaineering, and I drove out there. It was 30 minutes to get out there because they said they had them in stock when I looked online. And I got there and I had a really good look around, and the guy said, "Can I help you?" And I said, "Where are your bivvy bags?" And he was like, "What's a bivvy bag?" And I showed him a picture on my phone, and he was like, "Oh, no, I don't think we've got any of those." So he looked up the PUK code or whatever, and he was like, "No, we don't have any of those in stock, but we've got something similar." And he took me over and he showed me a sleeping bag liner, and I said, "That's a sleeping bag liner that goes inside your sleeping bag. A bivvy bag goes on the outside." And he was like, "Oh, okay." And it really worries me that a staff member at an outdoor store, a technical outdoor store, doesn't know the difference between a sleeping bag liner and a bivvy bag. You know, I'm never going to buy anything from those guys ever again. They are pretty much like Kathmandu. Kathmandu's, fuck, I hate that brand. It's so shit. Kathmandu is like the Starbucks of outdoor shops. Horrible. Anyway, so then he looked up on his computer and he was like, this other store 30 minutes away, they've got 10 in stock. So I drove all the way out to that one, and I had the same conversation. "Where are your bivvy bags? What's a bivvy bag?" "Oh man, it's just," like, showed him the photo, and he was like, looked on the computer, "Oh no, we don't have any of those in stock." And I said, "Essendon said you guys have got 10 in stock." And he was like, "No, I don't know why they would have said that." So he looked on his computer and he said, "Bloody Glen Waverley's got 10 in stock." And I was like, "Come on man, don't do this to me." So I went and got in my car and I rang Glen Waverley, because that's the smart thing to do, and that's what I should have done the first time. And he said, "Yeah, we've got a bunch in stock. You want me to put one aside?" So I was just like, "Yes, please put it aside," and whacked my name on it. And I drove down there and got in the store, and there was a girl behind the desk, and she was like, "Can I help you?" And I said, "Yeah, I've got a product that's been put behind the desk," and told her my name. And she couldn't find it. She was like, "No, there's nothing here with your name on it." And I was like, "No, why? Why is life doing this to me?" And then a guy came out and he was like, can I help you? And I just told him the same story, and he was like, "Oh yeah, it's here." And it was sitting on the desk right in front of her face with my name on it in massive letters. So yeah, so that was a fun one. Like, but I wasn't going to give up. I really needed it. So like, that's just what life is like at the moment. Anyway, enough waffling on. All right, I'm gonna go. I've had way too much coffee today, and I just kind of had to get something out of me because it's been ages since I've made a video. Yeah, if you've watched this far, as usual, thank you. And you know, I'm kind of interested to know if compulsive shopping is something that you suffer from as well. If it has a more technical name, maybe it's another trauma response, as someone in the comments was trying to explain to me about all the things that I do. She's like, "Oh, you've got ADHD, and it's all like everything you're doing is just a trauma response." I was like, "Oh, maybe my shopping is as well." I don't know, but you know, if you do the same thing, let me know and tell me all about it. I'm interested, and I'll definitely read your comment, and I'll definitely reply if it's interesting enough. And if you feel like abusing me or calling me a drugger or whatever, then go for it, because I love those comments too. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'm going to eat chocolate.